Welcome back to my Vision News. Some news stories for you. First one is about Ethiopian Orthodox Church, which has summoned an emergency meeting. When will it be held? What is going to be discussed? And secondly, Ethiopian PM Abiy arrived in Juba, South Sudan today. Ethiopia seems to be mediating between Riek Machar and Salva Kirr, while Somalia's President Hassan Sheikh arrived in Asmara on his third visit since he took office in May last year. This is Hassan Sheikh's third visit. He arrived in Asmara after General Hamdan Daglo of Sudan took off from Asmara for Sudan. Firstly, viewers, Orthodox Church of Ethiopia has summoned an emergency meeting. Holy Synod will meet on Wednesday. Church archbishops are being communicated that they must report at church headquarters on Wednesday. Agenda has not been made public so far, but what we have learned is that it's a key meeting. Some key issues will come under discussion. Firstly, around 2 weeks ago on Adwa Victory Day, security forces fired tear gas at Minlik Square, where there is St. George Church, and some Orthodox followers were injured. One participant of the Adwa Victory Day celebration was killed. And if you remember, Addis Ababa Archbishop gave ultimatum for 2 weeks to the government to take action against security forces. So 2 weeks about to end. Church elders going to meet on Wednesday. Secondly, in Shashamane, dozens were injured and several were killed almost a month ago in confrontation between security forces and Orthodox followers. Any action taken? No, so far. Some Orthodox followers still in prisons. Thirdly, the dispute between a rival faction of Orthodox Church stayed unresolved. Lots of issues between rival factions are not resolved, and Orthodox Church splinter faction based in Oromia is still in control of churches in Valaga, in Eastern Oromia, in Southern Oromia as well. So that is why on Wednesday, church elders will meet and key announcements are expected. Let's see what happens. It seems that the church is facing multiple challenges, mainly from Oromia region. Church is facing challenges. We saw a meeting between Shimalis Abdisa, Oromia President, and church leaders at Oromia President's office in Addis Ababa. Oromia President promised to release all Orthodox followers from prisons. But then we saw a statement from Orthodox Church saying that Oromia President was not honoring his commitment. Orthodox followers were not being released. So there are several issues. On Wednesday, all these issues will come under discussion, and we'll try to update you on Wednesday about this key meeting. Secondly, PM Abiy arrived in Juba today, South Sudan. One day working visit. PM Abiy is there to mediate between Riek Machar, Vice President, and President Salva Kirr. Ethiopia, which was trying to resolve its internal issue, its internal conflict in the north, is now again emerging as a regional player. Ethiopia could host talks between Somaliland government and SSC fighters. An Ethiopian Prime Minister was in Juba, South Sudan. In 2011, South Sudan gained independence. In 2013, civil war broke out in South Sudan. From 2013 till 2019, there was war, civil war in South Sudan. Peace agreement was signed. Riek Machar and Salva Kirr, leading rival factions, shared power. But the two could not agree on key provisions regarding the implementation of the agreement. No unified military has been formed, no election so far, no agreed constitution. So there are several issues pending. And last week, Salva Kiir, South Sudan's president, fired defense minister and interior minister. And defense minister is wife of rival faction leader Riek Machar. Then Salva Kiir fired the foreign minister as well. So both president and vice president are on a collision course. Ethiopia trying to control the damage. We have been hearing rumors that Salva Kiir asked Uganda to support Salva Kiir in case of armed confrontation between Salva Kiir loyalists and Riek Machar loyalists. Though it was a rumor, unconfirmed, but Ethiopia is trying to mediate with Riek Machar and Salva Kiir. PM Abiy was seen today with two leaders, president, vice president, leading to rival factions. And South Sudan matters for Ethiopia. It's Ethiopian neighbor. Ethiopian armed factions take refuge in South Sudan. Gambela fighters, Oromo Liberation Army fighters, they use South Sudan's territory as a staging ground for attacks on Ethiopian territories. That is why conflict in South Sudan will definitely have its impact on Ethiopia. PM Abiy is there to find a way out of the ongoing conflict between Riek Machar and Salva Kiir. Thirdly, viewers, Somalia's President Hassan Sheikh arrived in Eritrea today. At Asmara airport, he was welcomed by Isaias Afwerki himself. This is Hassan Sheikh's third visit to Eritrea since he took office in May. And first objective of Hassan Sheikh's visits was to ensure return of Somalia's soldiers from Eritrea. Eritrea trained more than 5,000 Somalia soldiers who have returned, and Somalia is sending more soldiers to Eritrea. Eritrea is training more soldiers of Somalia's army, navy, and air force. And the soldiers who returned from Eritrea to Somalia are in Somalia, and some Eritrean trainers, military trainers are also in Somalia accompanying the recruits, the trained soldiers who returned from Eritrea and who could be deployed in the fight against Al-Shabaab. So Eritrea is emerging as a key player in the Horn of Africa. Eritrean president was in Kenya a few days ago. Hassan Sheikh has visited Eritrea thrice since he took office, and interestingly, Sudan's one of the most powerful men, General Hamdan Daglo, also arrived in Asmara today. He arrived there on one-day visit. Some meetings were held. Isaias Afwerki was seen with Daglo. In a previous video, I shared my analysis about Daglo's visit. But reportedly, Daglo departed before Hassan Sheikh's arrival in Asmara. Is it a coincidence that both Sudanese and Somalia's leaders visited Eritrea today? Or some broad regional alliance is forming? It's difficult to say. I don't think that Hamati and Hassan Sheikh's visits are linked. I have no reliable information. Hassan Sheikh needs Eritrean continued support in the fight against Al-Shabaab. Daglo needs Isaias Afwerki's support as well in his confrontation with Al-Burhan. So both the visits are not linked. But in the Horn of Africa, interesting developments are happening. PM Abiy in South Sudan, Isaias Afwerki was in Kenya talking about regional integration. Daglo in Eritrea, Somalia, President Hassan Sheikh in Eritrea. It means that key changes will happen in the Horn of Africa in coming weeks and months. Eritrea, a small country in the Horn of Africa, has tremendous reach in the Horn of Africa because of its military adventures in the past. That is why we're seeing that regional leaders are trying to strengthen their ties with Isaias Afwerki's government. Thank you for watching.